In this lesson, we're going to do some collaging, and you're going to learn also a little bit about window management, because if you've got Photoshop CS4, you'll notice we now have these tabbed panels. So I'm going to show you how to navigate around those panels, and then we're going to look at working with multiple documents. Now, as you bring your images in, you notice that you can click the tab here and select each image, but you can't really just drag and drop it in. Well, let's have a look at the different options. If you look up here inside our bar, you'll notice we have an option that says Arrange Documents. So now if you tap on there and then find the different ways you want to view them, we could tap on there and look at them side by side, or we could tap and look at them one on top of each other. Now, something to be aware, you can't just click and then drag down. If you do that, it's not actually going to do anything. You have to actually tap once and then tap again on the actual way you want to view it. At the same time, we can look at these at actual pixels, which brings it up to 100%. And I can just scroll around in this document here. There's the edge of the photograph. And now if you want to view both of these the same, we just simply tap there, and then we can use Match Zoom and Location. Now this will put it in the same location and also match the zooming of it. Let's zoom back out again. I'm just going to hit the Command 0 key to zoom right back out here. And then what we can do is we can match this on the other document. So let's do that right now. We're just going to tap and then choose Match Zoom. Not really worried about the location because we're actually getting down to 96%, so it's going to fill the whole window. Now at any time we can drag between these two, so we can look at either of these images, as you can see there. If we want to drag one document into the other, all we simply do is just choose it, and then dragging it over, we're able to take that document over there. If we hold down the Shift key, it'll perfectly center it. So now notice we have the two layers inside this document. Another way you can do it is actually take the panel and just drag the panel out, and notice once you drag it out, it becomes a floating panel. And then it just works like it always did. So let's just close that out because we don't need that right now. What we're doing is we're working with these two layers here in this one document. So I can actually pull that document out just a little bit. All right, let's work at some collaging now. What we want to do is maybe scale this down a little bit because it seems a little bit big. So let me just hit the Control T, and that would be Command T on Mac, and then just holding the Shift key or using the Express key, just drag a corner down, and that constrains the size. So let's bring it down to say about there, and then click to enter. So now we can see we've got this document on top of the other one. Now what we want to do is we want to blend this into the document so it looks a little bit smoother, because right now it's not too smooth. So we're going to start by using gradients. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new mask just by simply tapping on the mask there inside the layer panel. Or we could go up to the masks panel here, and you could have just clicked there in the pixel mask. This is also a new feature in CS4. So let's start by using a gradient, because that's always a great way to start. So we're going to be working in the mask. So to hide those areas, we need to do them in black. So let's grab our gradient tool, and we're going to choose black as the foreground. And just hit the D key will actually set that. And then under the gradient options, let's go up to the top here. We want to choose the second option, which is the foreground to transparent option. Now the reason I'm using foreground to transparent is because I want to be able to come in from these different sides. So let's start at the top. I'm just going to tap, holding the Shift key, drag down, and then we can release. And notice it creates this nice smooth blend. Let's do the same on the other side. And we've got that nice blend. Let's go all the way around, and you can see we're starting to get this nice smooth blend, and it actually just blends this background in. Now what if we want to reposition this? Well, what we can do is if we just drag this right now just by tapping and dragging, notice it moves everything to a different position. Let me just undo that. If we want to move this within this nice soft selection, or maybe even scale it, what we do is we turn off the link there. Now we can move the photograph. See how the photograph moves now independently of the mask. At the same time, if I want to move the mask by itself now, see how I can move the mask around. So the reason I'm doing that is because I just want to scale this down a little bit. I'm just going to hit the Control T, and notice I'm fitting it within that nice soft selection by just scaling it without scaling the mask. So that's about the size we want. We'll hit enter to apply it, and then we're going to turn the mask back on just by linking those two together. So now if we move them as a whole. So we can actually use the pen now and do the rest of the work here with the pen. So with the mask selected, we want to be able to use different shades here to get rid of this area here. We can actually use black, and that's going to hide the contents of this layer, or white to show it. So let's grab a brush and then go to our brushes panel, and I want to set the other dynamics to opacity. So just in the brushes panel there, tap on other dynamics, under opacity set it to pen pressure, and leave everything else off. Smoothing is fine. And now we can just start to paint. I'm using a 100 pixel soft brush, by the way. So now we can just go around these edges here, and notice as I do that, it gets rid of that line and just smoothens it in. Let's do the same down here. Just nicely hiding those areas. Maybe we'll make the brush a little bit smaller here. We can go in here and we can hide these areas too. Just merge them right into the background. There we go, and we're just smoothly just collaging this in. Now what if I want to bring back some of these areas and have them showing? Well, we simply just hit the X key, or just set the foreground color for white, and now we can actually go in and we can start painting some of these. Let me increase the size of the brush here, because what I want to do is I actually want to make all this area black, and I know I've got some dark area in the original photograph, and I just want that to show back through, because it just nicely blends it into the photograph. See how we get that nice look there. Now if we want to make these gauges show, we can just paint inside those gauges and bring back the detail. Notice that we just bring back the detail on that gauge, a little bit on that one. I'm not doing that one fully. Well, what about this one here? Let's paint in there. Now you can mask the inside of here just by simply going into the quick selection tool. If you choose a quick selection tool and make sure sample all layers is turned off, then what we do there is we tap on our layer, and then we can just drag around, and notice as soon as we did that, it made that selection based on the contents of that layer and ignored everything underneath. That's why we were able, even though it was semi-transparent, we're still able to get a good clean collection because we've turned the sample all layers off. So now if we want to go back in again, grab our brush and then make sure that we've chosen the mask, we can paint now and we don't have to worry about going over the edges. See that? We can get that nice clean selection there. And then I just hit Control D or Command D at any time to turn that off. So that's how we've been able to create this nice little collaging effect. Maybe we want to just do a little touch up around these edges here. Just simply just dragging in there, just painting around those edges. And then we've created this nice, let's make it dark down here. Now we've got this nice collage in there. Just working with the different pressure sensitive options. See, like here for example, if we want to clean these up, what I would do at this point now is I would change this and set the shape dynamics to size, and now I can get into those little areas without having to readjust the brush size all the time. So let's make sure that mask is selected, and what I want to do is I want to cut that out of the mask. So I'm going to be using black, so let's set black and then just gently go in there, and notice how I can get right in there. Now if I don't want to affect the opacity as well, I can just turn off other dynamics, and now notice I'm painting with a very sharp edged brush there just by using a very light touch. And sometimes I like to do this just to go in and just do the little touch-ups on a very, very fine detail. We can get in there and just hide those things on that layer, and it gives us a nice little touched up collage look.